Doctor Who Season 2, Episode 3, titled The Well. Now, this episode is, I won't lie, like, as this is the spooky episode, right? This is the horror episode of this season. And it's pretty well put together. Like, I like it. I like the episode. And definitely, when the big reveal happens, which I will talk about, when the big reveal happens, it does add an extra to it, because now we know more context because we know context to what has happened. But what has happened before. But this episode, like, it's a typical setup, the Doctor and the companion, in this case Belinda, walks onto a military base. The moment they step out of the TARDIS, it's this military crew are ready to go on a mission to a mine planet and investigate what has happened, because there's no signal, there's no life forms on this planet anymore. Something has gone wrong. They enter into the base itself, the mining facilities where people sleep and eat and all that, and they're all dead. They're all dead, and everyone is dead. But there's one woman, this scared, deaf, who's a cook woman who just wants to go home and see her child, but there's something off with her. Like, why is she the only one alive? What is the link to? Like, clearly she's the link, but how did she kill everyone? Is this just a massive, like, mass murder spree? If that's the case, we can just arrest her and call it a day. But is there something more to it? And we find out there's something more to it. And the something more to it is that this episode is a sequel to the 10th Doctor episode, Midnight. And it's weird to hear it's a sequel to a 17-year-old episode, but it's a sequel to Midnight. And the moment you hear, like, there was tension, there was some weariness, there's some jump scares of Belinda just, being a nurse and taking care of Ballista's wounds, and you're like, oh yeah. And then you see, like, the classic jump scare piano keyboard sound, whatever you want to call it, and we see nothing. And it's playing you on the head. It's the head. It's playing the sociological game that Midnight does in a very different way. And it worked. And I thought we were going to deal with some xenomorphs kind of thing. I thought might deal with, like, I immediately thought, this feels like Doctor Who's take on Alien. In the first 20-ish minutes. And then when it turns out it's the entity for Midnight, immediately you're like, oh shit. Because there's already context. There's already, we know what this thing is capable of. And then finding out, no, we don't know what this thing is capable of. Because all we know the context of is, it likes to possess people and repeat what other people say. That's the big thing. It just wants to all we knew in Midnight is it likes to repeat what you say. And this time, this entity is just murdering people. Just, like, going left and right and just slaughtering people left, right, and center. And that's even the terrifying. There's even the terror of it. And you feel the Doctor's terror of it, because he remembers what happened in that original episode, where, he nearly died because of it, right? And it just, you feel the terror, you feel the tension, you know what it's capable of doing. You know how dangerous it is, and you just feel the sense of empathy and sympathy towards this, because you're like, there might be no way out. Maybe they have to just leave her. Maybe they have to kill her, like, to get rid of this thing once and for all. And it's just, you get, and of course it adds into the sociological aspect, like, is this a better episode than Midnight itself, like the episode itself? No, I think it plays. I think Midnight's a more tighter sweep. I think it's a more tighter episode. I think they play on the sociological aspects of things a hell lot more stronger than in that episode than in this. But still, the Whale does a pretty good job hitting those notes that Midnight did, and it's a simple thing of you can't see it, so people are going to naturally think, oh, Bliss is bullshitting. People are not going to listen to the Doctor because naturally you got some Midnight people who are like, hey, let's listen to the Doctor. He feels like he knows what he's talking about, all that kind of stuff. Belinda is a nurse. Let's fix this up. Let's guide this. Let's set the set. Let's listen to these two, right? And then you got some of the military base who are very by the book, who are very who are very high by the book, and believes like in weight codes and is taking over the mission and stuff like that, and you just go, well, you're going to die in 3 minutes, and you die in 3 minutes, but you like, it's showing the military, the sociological aspect. It's a theme, and the scene where you know that the Doctor knows what it looks like, and knows that it knows his name, and the terror and the fear on his eyes, and like everybody laughs about 15 always crying in each episode, but this time it's understandable. Like, this is the most this is a guy who fought Daleks and Cybermen and werewolves and Sadoons and this and that, and for last season fought goblins and maestros and a Egyptian wolf and an Egyptian dog, done all these things, and what he's the most terrified over is this thing that he know what it looks like, but we don't know what it looks like. Which I think, if there's going to be another sequel to this, by the end of it, it feels like, it's hinting like, hey, I think it's hinting the idea of, future showrunners, if you ever want to bring the Midnight story, keep continuing the Midnight story, you can still can, or there's a plan for maybe doing a Midnight trilogy or something. But you just see the terror on his face, and it's just absolutely, you feel it, and even when the 15th theme is playing and the Doctor's like, I got it. I'm like, do you? That's the thing. This is the first time I'm like, the Doctor is like, I got it, and this is the first time I go, I don't think you have, because we don't know, because he know what it looks like, but we don't. It's a whole thing with it. It makes you doubt everything. But here's the thing: if there is gonna be more Midnight or that, Midnight stuff, I would say this: do we have to? Is there some point where we have to see it? Probably. Know what it is, what it looks like. This probably is that point, but it probably is best to keep it a mystery. Maybe show some shows maybe bits and pieces, like, oh, it's Staley, but not like here's what it fully is, or something along those lines. But yeah, this episode, look, I do prefer last week's episode better than this week's episode, but is if I'm ranking these episodes, I think it's 2, 3, 1. 1 being the worst and 2 being the worst. The best episode of the season. So, but yeah, I liked it. And also there's heart and there's all this, and I like the episode. Does it fall into typical Doctor Who military based thing. Yeah, it does. But it does a pretty good job with it, and it makes you care about the characters. And the whole thing, you need to care about Liz. You have to. If you don't care about her, the whole story fails, and you do. And it does that. So, anyway, comment below. Let me know your thoughts of this episode. Okay, start doing with the repeating stuff. Stop.